Welcome to Brohelio, a space where we explore and discuss complex and often difficult topics. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that today's discussion may cover traumatic events and include language and topics that could be triggering for some. Please be advised that we are not healthcare professionals, psychologists, or legal advisors. The content shared in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or in need of support, we strongly encourage you to seek help from a qualified professional. In case of an emergency, please do not hesitate to contact emergency services immediately. Our goal is to foster understanding and awareness while respecting the sensitivity of the subjects discussed. Listener discretion is advised. Thank you for joining us, and let's approach today's topic with empathy and openness.
Okie dokie.
So, the age-old question.
What should we talk about today?
What should we talk about?
Well, I'm thinking maybe growth.
Okay.
Like, how we relate to it, what
Yeah.
it is, what it means to each of us, different ways we've grown since we started this, even though it's only 2 or 3 months
Six
old.
episodes.
Yeah.
This will be the 7th that we were recording. How have we grown? Sure. So what you were saying, what it means to us.
Mm-hmm.
How we've experienced it.
And then, like, what growth maybe have we seen since we started this?
Sure, and then maybe why people think it's important.
That's actually, yeah, I agree with that. That's a good one. Okay, so we'll start out with maybe how we define growth. Or maybe that there's different areas. There's so many different areas of growth. Maybe we should just, like, in terms of personal growth, we should narrow it down to a person like maybe emotional, mental, physical.
Sure.
So, okay, those are different ways you can grow. And, like,
Yeah, you can physically grow. People are born small. They physically grow larger.
how I meant physical growth is, I mean, more like physical health. So, growing
growth within health.
growth within, like, your being, like, you're either stronger, you're faster, your heart rate is more regulated, anything that can make you.
That's not necessarily growth. I think some of that's just being healthy.
But I mean, that is growth in a sense that you're better than you were before, and that's usually what I'm trying to get at when I say growth. It's something you should always strive for.
Betterments. Yeah, betterment's
growth.
Not necessarily growth.
Being more or being better.
Yeah, because you wouldn't grow your heart rate by reducing it. It would be better. Your heart doesn't grow.
No,
doesn't
but
grow.
I mean, in
better.
the term, like, growth, as in being more as a person or being better. That's what I'm saying by growth, not actual physical.
Yeah, I'm fine
growth.
talking about this, but I do think that it's important to recognize that. So you can measure where you are, and you want to make a change, and you make a path to get there. But it's important that the person, to a certain degree, they accept where they are, versus feeling like they need to change. Because if they think that they'll somehow feel different after they change, it's not always guaranteed that there will be any difference.
I agree. Living for the change isn't necessarily the most healthy thing, but also being stagnant isn't healthy either. So being more or being,
it's like about being the best version of yourself in a way. The best body version.
Yeah, however that means to you. That's what I'm trying to get at by growth. I don't mean, like, if you don't achieve something, you've failed. I mean, even in the attempt, you can still grow. You can still be more than you were before. Say I set a goal for losing 5 pounds. That's not growth. I'm not getting bigger. I'm actually getting smaller. And I don't reach that, but I lose 3 pounds. Have I at least achieved bettering myself, even if it's not to the goal I meant?
Sure.
So yeah,
Shoot for the stars. If you land on the moon, you're off the Earth.
yeah. There you go. I like that. You should have that on a T-shirt.
I think somebody
So
said that already.
But yeah, but you don't have a trademark. Get it on a T-shirt, man.
Sure.
Bro Helio line. So yeah, that's a good thing. I think growth in any area is defined by, you know,
yeah,
being more than you are or being better at things.
Being more emotionally aware could be one form of emotional growth.
Oh, for sure. Being aware of what's angering you or
how
upsetting
you. How you feel, why you feel.
Yeah, even if you can't change it, knowing why you have it is half the battle. And then, over time, once you know it, you know what to look for, and you start to formulate a response and get better. But you can't fix something you haven't defined to be fixable. So, yeah, I think we'll start with what would be, maybe like mentally first, or would you like to tackle first, emotional, mental, or like physical?
It's up to you. I think each have their difficulties as far as changing,
getting better,
changing your emotional state in some ways is probably harder to do, I think, than your body. But if you change your body, sometimes the emotional stuff happens automatically.
Okay, so maybe we'll start with physical because that seems most relatable.
It's the easiest
to
thing to do. Yeah, it's most relatable to people.
Okay, so anyways, since I think since we started, you said you've gone back to joggling again here and there.
Well, it's also nice out, so I don't know. You can really attribute joggling only to this, but yeah, I'm picking joggling back up. Been working on clubs.
Cool.
Did some more of that the other day.
No, I was just saying, getting back into physical activities in general is
working out more.
Is better than being sedentary for your life, for your emotional
for anyone.
health.
Anyone shouldn't just be sitting around doing nothing. They should be going on walks, working out regularly, healthily increasing their heart rate for a specific amount of time, allowing it to rest, recover.
So you've gone back to doing some of those things that that slid by because you had other commitments in life.
Yeah.
And which is understandable.
Many commitments.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. As for myself, physically, I don't think I have as many physical symptoms of anxiety as I used to before we started. And so it allows me to go out and do things more when I'm not feeling almost physically attacked by a situation.
Yeah. Physically attacked.
Even if it's by my own mind.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what anxiety is.
What do you think? Why do you think that is? What are you attributing the success to? Is it the talking, or is it something else?
I think it's this. It helps me to articulate why I do the things I do, and without putting it to words, it's kind of like we always say: if you can't define it, you can't fight it. And so a lot of that's why I'm more about talking things to try and give them form.
I would change that statement to you can't fight something that you can't define. I would say you can't understand something that you can't define. Because I feel like
you can
for
you
emotional states, you shouldn't be fighting emotional states.
Okay, I mean confronting. I don't mean like an actual physical. I mean like actually trying to.
But how
change things,
how those interactions occur in the mind matter. Because if you're trying to force a change in your mind and you're fighting or you're trying to do it aggressive, then there may be some counter-reactive results there.
Yeah, no.
It's like, don't think of the monkey. Like,
but no, that's not the way I mean it. I'm I'm meaning it like if I don't have the focus, I can't, I don't know what to work towards.
Yeah. How can
fighting
you correct?
Is just mean
you cannot correct the unknown. It must a statement in some form must manifest for it to later be modified
Mm-hmm.
through any form of internal or external action.
Yeah, and just having this as like something optional that I choose to continually do and that I work towards it helps.
Yeah.
Like, it's something I could say that I'm doing to better myself, whereas, like, just going to work means, well, that's not bettering myself. That's just not floundering, I guess, or just, not.
Work just keeps you busy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand I have to go to work, but it's not like I'm choosing to work. It's because I have to. This, I could choose not to do it. I mean, I would feel bad
Arguably, you could choose not to work. You could choose not to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I could choose, well, except breathing. That's autonomic.
Yeah, it kind of happens.
Kind of happens. But you get what I mean when I'm saying, like, I'm choosing to do something.
Yeah.
Versus being, like, something I know I have to do.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm just, like, teasing apart the whole, you can better yourself at work, too.
True, and I think I have gotten better at the way I interact.
Sure, it changes the way you interact with others because of the way you interact at work, and there are chances there for betterments, learning, and being your best work self, too.
It's not that, like, that I don't grow or I don't do things while I'm there.
But I understand what you mean. It's like this is a thing that you don't have to do. You've decided to do it. And because you've made the decision of wanting to do it, there are some other things that may change along the way. Because it's like, I've declared I want to do this. I'm bettering myself.
By doing it.
And then so some of the other small decisions that you go through life are easier to make. I find this... so like if you decide to... Let's say you want to work out because you want to look good for an upcoming photo shoot.
Sure.
Right? So if you have that goal for you're going to have the photo shoot, you're working out, so you're doing that action. Later, when it's time to eat, you'll think to yourself, should I eat the donut
or should
I eat the well-balanced meal? And because you were working out, either you'll say, I'm working out, I've expended calories, I have, I can afford these calories. Or you say, because I know I'm working out, I don't even have to, like, take in these dirty carbs or whatever, these dirty calories. I can do clean calories, and then I'll work out less.
Yeah, it changes your relationship to how you see the food.
Yeah, you've declared that you'll be doing the thing, and a number of things cascade.
Yeah, the food, you're like, okay, I can afford this, so now I don't feel bad about eating the food, so I don't continue to eat bad food.
Yeah.
And they're like, or you make the step where, like, I don't feel like I need this food, so I can eat the food that's healthier for me, instead of just like, I need that sugar high, or I need that whatever rush, or something to get myself through the day, and then you feel like crap because you've succumbed once again, and you keep, this is the spiral. It's the upward spiral versus the downward spiral. Make a positive change, more positive changes will follow. Make a negative change, negative changes
could follow.
Yeah. And the same thing, positive changes aren't guaranteed. Yeah. There will be more positive changes, but it's more likely.
It's tough to make, you can't really make blanket statements like that, but
generally, psychologically speaking, that, when you tend to see there's the possibility of positive things in the future, you'll work towards them and manifest them. Whereas if you don't see the positive things in the future, you're going to ignore the possibilities that are there, and you're going to
perpetuate the cycle.
Yeah, you're much more likely to keep going. So that's it's not like saying that success is guaranteed or failure is guaranteed. Once you take a path, at any point you could fail while you're on an upward spiral and then go back down, or you can fail, realize, okay, failure is a part of life, and not let it get you knocked down and continue going upward, because even your relationship to failure starts changing based on a more positive outlook. So that's the way I think about it.
So you've noticed some changes in your physical feeling. There have been less feelings of anxiety.
Yeah, less physical manifestations.
Less manifestations.
I still have a lot out of the thoughts, because like I said, like you were saying, sometimes changing the physical is easier than changing the mental, and that sometimes changing the physical.
They're related certainly, but so it's like I think that spending the bulk of your time on your body
mm-hmm.
will help you sleep and feel better. So like if you're eating well, you're exercising, then you're probably feeling better. You have better energy levels. You're getting better sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so when those occur, then you may have less feelings of anxiety because you're feeling better because you've been eating well. You have better nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And so then once it's like hit the easy major things, and then you can tease the thoughts, the rampant thoughts later. Because eventually you will get to the point where you need to confront thoughts and reoccurring thoughts. Mm-hmm. And until you can either come to terms with those thoughts, that they're just thoughts that you think of, and it's okay, you can either give them energy or you can let them go. They'll just keep going. And so like if they're bad thoughts, then you need to, or maybe thoughts that you don't think are the best version of you,
mm-hmm.
then figure out ways to let that story go or those thought patterns go. And it might be because you need to figure out the source. A lot of this, mm-hmm. some of this is, trauma identification,
mm-hmm.
where you got to figure out, okay, what's making me feel this? And then you just have to figure it out through a number of various means. I have no methods, no shortcuts for figuring out previous traumas that you may have deleted. Some people experience things and then their brain will cover it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then like uncovering that situation in a point, that could be tough. It could take years of therapy to get there.
Mm-hmm.
There are no magic wands. But once you're feeling good and you're sleeping, then hopefully your physical symptoms will almost completely go away. Hopefully, who knows. But so let's
I think it more, when your physical body is in order, it gives you more fuel to confront your mental and emotional issues.
It's a good way to state it.
So, like, if you're not healthy, you only got this little bit of a reservoir to deal with all your thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
But if you're healthy, you have this. And so, but still, if you don't have good thought patterns and emotions, it doesn't matter if you have an ocean of reservoir of physical health, it won't matter. So
I think I do have one trick to help people identify what is the true issue. And I forget where I figured it out, but it has to do with the awareness exercise, or the layer of existence beyond the thought. You have to have this awareness to where, let's say, you have a thought, I need to make a change. So, like, let's say, for instance, for you,
mm-hmm.
Let's say you have these physical feelings, or you have thought patterns that you want to get away from. Let's say you're always thinking about this story that you want to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Not another desert planet.
Not another damn desert.
Not another damn desert.
Mm-hmm.
So this keeps coming back to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay that it keeps coming back to you. It's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to understand why. And then you need to develop an action forward, or you need to let it go. And say, I've decided that after thinking about it, this is not worth my effort, and I'm going to let this initiative go, and I no longer have to think about it. But it's so like the level of awareness of I'm having a thought of making a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to decide outcomes. Either you make the book and
mm-hmm.
you have a number of things that get you there, or B, you're like, this is a great idea, but I really don't give a shit. I'm just going to delete it. Mm-hmm. Then you go that way. And then so you must be aware that it's there. This thing keeps coming back because you haven't made the decision of doing it. Like, you're not doing it. So you either need to do it or decide not to do it. And until you come to terms with that, it'll be there. So the thought pattern is the same formula to where other things are going inside your mind. You're saying like, I'm feeling anxious because I have this big match coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Vegas thing or whatever, the big tournament. I have this big tournament coming up And I'm concerned about that. And then so now that you've done it, outcome has occurred, whatever, you lost. So now you no longer think about it. But coming up to that, there could be a period where you're just cycling through potential outcomes. And
I get what you're saying. I mean, I get the example. I mean, for me, I didn't really care all that much.
Well, yeah, it's just an example.
It's just an example, but I get what you're saying. Is until
it'll keep coming back
until it's resolved. I can't go through it. So yeah, I get that. The story writing maybe is a more apt thing to go through, because, and I don't know. It's that like like it's not worth writing, even if I state it like I'm gonna drop it. My mind will like keep push. So I need to do something in order.
No, you don't need to. No. You are in control of your mind.
No, I mean I need to do something to get my mind. I don't say I need to write the whole thing, or I have to think of a way. But it just keeps coming up in my mind. Not the need to write the story. The idea.
The idea. Yeah. Well, you have to figure out an idea or a way to complete the idea or let the idea go.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'll let the idea go. So I probably
Then you have to write the book.
I have to, story, but yes.
The story.
Yeah, because I think it's a core part of who I am. That like something so simple upsets me that nobody else really cares about.
But if this is the way that you feel with all the things that you need to do that you haven't done.
No, not all the things.
Not all of them?
No.
Because there's surely a list of all these things that are giving you anxiety or like things that you want to do.
Yeah, I don't.
And how many of those? Oh no, I just got to do it. Like how many?
Like I don't. It doesn't give me anxiety. The things I want to do or the ideas I have. Mm-hmm. More gives me anxiety that I don't do anything. It's like if I have a list of 20 things and I've only done one of them, I'm okay with that because at least I've done something.
Yeah, you've done one thing.
So it doesn't matter that, that I've chosen something. I've found something that is important and I've worked towards it. And maybe, trying to identify things and prioritize.
Yeah.
And I think I've been doing that in terms of doing this.
If you have lots of things going on, try taking lists down too.
Real estate classes. I do from time to time. I try and write down a list of every current idea that I have floating around my head and identifying like the 5 most important or the 5 most formulated things to do and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do first.
Yeah.
If I get finished with this, then I can attack the other 20 or 30 odd ideas that are just, nebulously floating around in the background. But anyways, we'll cycle back to that's mental health, I would say. I would say the physical health is, more about
so
maybe achieving like consistency helps because a better, a set sleep schedule is good. Regular.
It's vital to human health.
Regular physical activity.
Yeah.
Is good. Yeah, all these things that you want to do consistently. So I would say growth. For like.
In those terms, would just be achieving consistency.
Yeah, right. Or having something you do more of consistently. It's not just going out and, running that mile every now and then. It's going out and walking a mile every single day. I mean...
establish your cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to it.
In terms of, I think growing as a person, just because anybody can go out and run a mile. Run a mile. And then it's like, okay, you haven't grown. That's just something you've done. Because you're consistently walking every day. After so long, you're probably bettering your heart health and all these other kind of metrics. And you're more regulating your sleep and... all these other things, so you are getting physically better. You're growing in terms of how your physical health is. And that's what I was trying to get at, and I think I've improved somewhat that way, and maybe even you getting back to doing some of these exercising things that naturally slid by the wayside because of, life happens.
Yeah.
Maybe that's helped you. So we'll move on and attack mental growth.
Not attack mental growth. We're not
Yes,
attacking
attack it,
anything.
attack it, fight it to the
Right?
ground.
I feel like you need to change these words, man.
I think the way we talk is different. I don't think the
Yeah.
meaning is necessarily any different.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Humans do have different symbols that they use for,
Well, they grow up and with
in different variables, different values.
different emphasis on different.
I'm just saying,
words.
so like when you're attacked, it's like you don't attack mental health.
No, that's
You
not what I
cultivate
mean.
it. You grow it, right?
Yeah, no, I just mean let's confront it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what I mean by attack. Is it's a broad term, and I like to play with words and not use them strictly as their like dictionary definition.
Sure, sure.
So when I say that, or when I say I'm stupid or
we
I'm an
don't-
idiot, I'm not
Yeah.
actually saying that's what I believe.
I
I'm just
know,
I'm playing
I know.
with things.
If we're having a public hosted forum of men's health, surely we can use terms that aren't so aggressive.
All right. Anyways, so yes, how can we measure or talk about mental health or mental growth, I should say? Because that one,
Is mental not emotional?
I would say
I feel like we already
again.
covered that.
No, I would say I would say they're different in that mental is more an exercise in logic, and emotional is is really based how you feel, and mental is based on how you think. And I think thinking is different from feeling, even though they really get intertwined. Just like your physical you feel physically well, you're going to feel mentally and emotionally well, but they are different things.
Sure. I think thinking health. So I mean, we kind of talked about this, but so like thinking health. It depends on how you want to think, right? There are a number of ways to think.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, mental health is like those thought patterns that repeat and repeat and repeat. And other things, and that could also include mental health. Like, are you growing in knowledge? I think emotional health is more like acceptance and understanding of people. Like mental health is more, okay, have I done something to...
I don't know. I'm getting lost in the definition.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, like, okay, how about, like, intellectual health? Or intellectual growth. How about that? Does that make you a little bit better, like, growing your knowledge base? Or being able to have more skills?
Like learning?
Kind of like learning, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta learn.
Well, yeah, I get it, but I'm just saying intellectual growth, not becoming stagnant, being caught in patterns about the way you think about things, and just automatically getting to that point where this is how it is, shut down, no further argument, you don't try to understand the situation any further. Even if maybe you're technically right, especially like in a political argument, but you don't try and understand the other argument or where somebody else is coming from, because okay, I'm right, and just because I'm right, I don't need to think on the subject matter anymore. But maybe even though you're right, some of your points are incorrect or not as substantiated, and you're right, but you're not supporting it well enough. So you have to, grow and keep thinking, because I think a lot of people get to a place and they get the ideas of what's right, how, what should be, what's, truth and what's accurate, and then they just kind of stop. And they don't keep trying to reach
words
further.
like truth and accurate can get tricky.
True, but
because there arguably is no truth. There's no measurable truth.
Okay, facts. What is true by measurement and science and other, associated...
There's a degree of measurability, but it's like, I don't know, I've been like reading and listening to a lot about quantum theory recently, and how the person experiences reality and how they chart truths, or let's say how they hold on to thoughts inside their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're so malleable that even when, let's say, we observe something and then in our mind, and so like you see a thing, you claim, I saw the thing, this is what happened. Your brain can change that later through external interactions or even internal interactions. You can remap it. So it's like, it's tough to claim truth anywhere. Everything is so
but
so tough to pinpoint.
You're going super philosophical on this to a point where I'm not sure. Like,
maybe I don't need to, but
I think you're trying to find an agreement with people and reach some kind of consensus on things, and it's,
I don't know.
Like, if you really want to go into the philosophy of things and about what's real and what's not real, you can go down a whole huge
rabbit
hole of that. Like,
never come out.
There's really, like, the only thing you can be sure of is I think, therefore I am. Like, other than that, you can't really be sure. I can't be sure that you're not a simulation. You can't be sure that I'm not a simulation. And I can't even be sure I existed 3 seconds ago because
time is...
because my memory is foggy. It's not perfect. And if, somebody could implant electrical impulses...
Hold on, let's reel it in. Back to...
that. So what I'm trying to say is,
growth.
You're arguing... I'm not arguing, like, different truths. I'm saying trying to understand... the causes of things, and you get a better understanding of how things work in whatever most people can collectively agree on. That they're, 2 plus 2 is 2, 4, and stuff like that. That you can continue to grow, and there's more and more you can come into agreement with people instead of just cutting it off at the quick, saying, this is what things are.
But I mean, back to your original point, you need to understand somebody's position, be able to empathize with their position, and then also hold your own version of understanding for whatever they're talking about. So your instance, political thing, whatever, you think you're right, they think they're right. You both say, yeah, it's okay to have your opinion, I disagree, here's my argument, and leave it there. It's okay to disagree. Right?
But then again, also, just leaving it there and never thinking about it is kind of like the death of the thought. You're trying to interrogate it more until you come to a place where you're satisfied that somebody could come to a different conclusion than you, logically, and, try and keep reaching for more understanding. Because obviously... I'm assuming you're an irrational actor. If we're saying, like, okay, I'll think what I think, you'll think what you think, and I'm not going to try and change my mind or change your mind.
Yeah. You can't control somebody else's irrationality.
No, you can't. But you can control yours, and you can keep trying to think about it further and, just be open to the possibility, I still believe this is true and that I'm right, but maybe I'm not presenting it the right way, or maybe, there's an emotional attachment to something. So I gotta to me, I just gotta keep understanding. Just because someone, like, disagrees with me, and I'm like, we'll agree to disagree. Like, there's a small part of me that, I'm like, okay, I can't change everybody's mind. I don't control people. But I do at least have to understand why we have this disagreement. So I'll still think about it until I'm like, okay, like, I understand where this disagreement comes from, and I'll be okay with it. Instead of being like, let's agree to disagree. We're still very angry and we just don't address it. And that's a lot of political stuff out there. That has more to do with the fact that it's all emotional, and that's why people can't change their stuff, because they're so invested in, their political ideology.
Some of them are, so, like, dragging politics in this certainly crossed some boundaries, but like there are big political differences in between parties, which have
in
huge
between people,
ethical and moral implications.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're having a discussion with somebody who has a different opinion than you, yes, maybe understanding how they're forming the thought may help you understand how to compare yourself to them. But it's not really needed to understand your position because you've already made your decision. So whatever they're doing to get there doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because you have no control over them. But I understand it's like you're just reaching for a reference point there because you're trying to compare. Okay, you know, what is your position? Here's my position.
But maybe in the process, it also clarifies your position more. That maybe you're just like, okay, I hold this to be true. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it's only conditional upon something else. Or it's, in extreme cases, it's this.
Yeah.
And it's, so I think, you know,
the exchange of information is what helps you understand yourself.
But
and what helps challenge yourself.
The thing with the politics is it's more about people not listening to how each other feel about things than it is about actual issues, because I feel like a lot of people are, you know, closer on a lot of issues than we let on, and it's just emotional things that, like, they're I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal.
No, I don't know, man. It's like the issue here is polarity. And
so how about like intellectual growth, as in like maybe you're woodworking?
That's not intellectual growth.
I mean, it is intellectual growth in that you're learning to shape the wood. You're learning how to do something.
Okay.
That is an intellectual pursuit of a sort. It is a skill. It is a mental thing. You can't just throw.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But I'm making time for it. I think you just got to make time for it.
But I mean, you've learned things while you've done it. It's not like you go back.
I have. I've been definitely learning throughout the process.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by intellectual. It's not all like philosophy kind of crap. And what's
yeah, but
moral,
it's like a physical. It's a physical thing, though. So I'm not sure I would call it intellectual. That's why I immediately negated that. It's like physio. It's not.
But yeah, but if it's pure physical, then you just throw something against the wall, and there's no.
No, but it's like the process of me driving a tool into a thing, and sure, I'm like looking at the way that the fibers of the wood are splitting and learning from that, but it's physical action. It doesn't matter. I'm learning. I'm enjoying it.
That's what I mean by you're learning intellectual growth. You're increasing your intellect, your knowledge of how to do or think about things, however that is. Whether it's physical, even breathing can be an intellectual pursuit when you think about it and try and regulate it and understand your relation to your emotions and intellectually how to, calm your heart rate and slow your breath in different situations.
Sure.
So that's what I mean by intellectual. Just your ability to know things and grow that way with knowledge.
Yeah.
And I would say for the third one, since I don't know how much time we have left.
We're at 40 minutes. We should wrap it up.
All right, so we'll talk about the emotional growth. I would think for emotional growth, that's your ability to not be controlled by your emotions. Is the
ultimate goal.
The main point. So you can have these emotions and not let them control you. You got to realize that you cannot change it. You're going to have emotions that are unpleasant. You're going to have these emotions that are not entirely within your control. So you got to. It's more like guiding the river than actually trying to dam it. You know what I mean? You're trying to affect it, but not, perfectly direct something. Is like
sure.
I'm having the transplant. We didn't discuss that, but I was accepted into Northwestern transplant program, and I'm gonna be anxious about it.
Yeah.
There's
nothing you can do about
there's
that.
nothing I can say. I can like say, okay, no, it's perfectly fine. Bullshit. I'm gonna be anxious about it, and there's nothing I can really do to, I mean, it's something that should make you a little anxious. You should be
Yeah.
a little bit apprehensive about it. But how? So you just accept that, and then how do you, let that happen, but also still be in control of the situation, not let it, the anxiety
Yeah.
about it, run your life.
Yeah.
So that's what I think emotional growth is. Because there's a lot of things where you snap at people or you walk away from situations because you're not cognizant of your own emotional state. And then you're going to wonder why you do these things. And the more you understand yourself emotionally, the more you can make the decisions you want to make. Or, be more of the person you want to be. Because you're not denying a part of who you are. Because this is who I am. I'm anxious about this.
Yeah.
So
rightfully so. It's a big event happening in your life. It would be a huge event for anyone.
So
and anyone
does
would
denying
be
it
about it
make me more in control because I can stop it right there in the tracks? But can I? Does that not leak over into other aspects
leak,
of my?
Man, you can't say you can't just do that.
But I think I think that if I had to say in a nutshell about like men's health of why it's so messed up,
yeah,
is just like their ability
Attempts
to say
denial.
Their ability to say like, oh yeah, things don't affect me. I'm like, BS. Things affect everybody.
Yeah,
it's like that's why you have these people that scream at their spouses or whatever, and they do all these kinds of bad things, even though in public like they're great. It's because they aren't really great. There's things bugging them that especially boys have been trained since they were kids not to show weakness, not to show emotion and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can't acknowledge that part of yourself, well, guess what? It's still there just because you deny it. It doesn't go away.
Don't cry.
Yeah.
Be strong.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've never heard that growing up. Every boy in my...
Stop crying because I hit you.
Thankfully, I never had that situation, but... Yeah.
If you keep crying, I'll strike you again.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What?
Yeah, there's a logic in that.
That happens to people.
Massively flawed logic, but there's a logic in it.
Yeah.
So that's what I have. I would think I struggle with the most is trying to.
So everyone, I think that's like it's a great goal for anyone. How to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. How to be stressed and realize that you're stressed, but not let it ruin your life.
Yeah. How to let the shit wash over you instead of just trying to hold it back.
Drown you. You gotta let it run all over you, and just realize that you're covered in shit.
And even in those instances where you have to put up that wall, understand that you need it to come down and you need to feel it eventually. I mean, I'm not saying you can't be like...
At times you have to put up the wall. It's too much. You gotta containerize.
Or it's you're just at when work you and it's not appropriate for you to fall to tears.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I understand in this moment that I can't give in to this, but that doesn't mean that I have,
that you never come to terms with it. Yeah, you gotta complete that thought eventually. And if you have feelings about it, have the feelings. Cry about it.
Yeah. So that was one thing. I don't know if that's been a thing for you, because I think, like I said, I think you're a little bit more emotionally healthy than I am.
I've been working at awareness for a while. I think that some of my appearance of having my shit together is because it's not that I do. It's just that.
Oh, I'm not saying you're altogether perfect and there's nothing.
I'm not.
I'm just saying you are a little bit more emotionally healthy than me. I'm getting better, and I think you are too.
Yeah, we're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that it's not an arriving.
Mm-hmm.
We're never gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. It's like it's about the journey. It's about recognizing that you can do some things better, and then slowly over time.
Mm-hmm.
Finding more and more ways to be the best version of yourself, and then it's like figuring out ways to fail and still be okay with it, because
I think that is a huge thing.
Yeah.
To not succeed and not go down that spiral.
Yeah. Because everyone's great when everything's aces.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, why would you be concerned if your life was gold?
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as your life isn't gold, and then you realize, like, what it.
Because it's unpolished gold doesn't mean it's a unpolished turd. It's a different thing. Still really good. It's just, just because you hit a snag doesn't mean you have to go.
And other people are just dealt twos their whole life, and then they somehow figure out a way to be happy about it. So it's like,
well, yeah, that's another thing. Like, wealthy people, sometimes you'd be surprised at how unhappy they are, and then you get people who are like super poor and they're happy, and you're just like, how the hell did that happen? And
less things to care about, man.
Well, also that it also like cuts to the quick what really is important.
What really matters.
When you don't have a lot, you realize exactly what's important. When you have a lot, it's kind of harder to discern, okay, what really matters.
Yeah.
And so I can see how, like, rich people could be unhappy because they don't know what really matters in their life, and poor people who don't have a whole lot.
If you were to say that to a rich person, I'm sure they would say something else. Like, in response.
And that's not a universal thing. There are poor people who are very... I mean, there's a lot
very
of poor
angry
people.
Poor people.
And there's rich people who are quite
very
content.
happy. Yeah.
But I could see how you could get the opposite at the same time.
Yeah.
So, because maybe, you grew up poor and you came in a lot of money. You know what's important because you had that beforehand.
Yeah, you had that perspective.
Or also you're poor and you just never got the support you needed. So therefore, you're unhappy, and that makes sense because the core things you need that were important, you just never got. So that's why you can be both poor and happy, or poor and unhappy, and rich and happy, and rich and unhappy. But I think that's a pretty good place to end it. Just if I had to sum up, an important thing is don't try to deny how you feel, because it doesn't work like that. It's one of the most important things. You just have to realize what is and what can and can't be changed.
True that.
And I think that's, like most people,
don't waste your energy on trying to change the unchangeable.
That's the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so
maybe
I would anything you want to add? Emotional, mental.
See, we talked about growth. In review, we talked about growth.
Mm-hmm.
Different types of growth: physical growth, emotional growth, mental growth, intellectual growth. Tried to differentiate some of them. Got lost along the way.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That's all right. Let's see, my takeaways. My big points: focus on what you can change.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
There are some mental aspects which are harder to change than some of your physical aspects.
Mm-hmm. Know what you can and can't change.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to actually
And then as far as identifying thought patterns that you want to close, you have to put yourself into a state to where you can observe thought patterns and then ask a question, why did I think that? And then you keep chasing that. Okay, I had this thought pattern because maybe this. Okay, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? You eventually get yourself to a point of identifying triggers, which are causing thought cycles. Then you can either avoid the triggers or you can figure out ways to stop the thought cycles by completing them. That's the other thing. So, focus on your body and then figure out ways to decrease overthought by completing the thought cycles.
That's in completing the thought cycles. I like that. Yeah, tying things off and not letting them dangle in your mind makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching. We're always glad to have you, and hopefully we'll do another live episode very soon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.